And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with our football segment of episode 176 of the Splashcast Monday Night Raw. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and let us know that you're in the building. Shout out to Bravo talking about wrestling. We appreciate it. Um, with that being said, man, we got a few things we're going to talk about today. A couple things. Before we get to the national championship, and yes, Ohio State won the national championship. We'll talk about it. But before we get there, this is kind of the part two of Deion's new rules. So if you remember last week, we talked about Deion implementing new rules to ensure the team comes into next season with more discipline and it starts off the field. If you recall, their last two games, they were absolutely dump trucked. Or actually two of the last three games. Kansas, then they won Senior Day, and then they lost their bowl game. A lot of those games in which they lost, you can attribute to lack of focus. This is from Deion. Lack of focus and undisciplined football, meaning they were one of the more heavily penalized teams in college football. So he also talked about them going to class, going to school, and everything like that. So one of the things that he discussed was presenting yourself. Deion is all about, Deion might as well be a Kappa. Like, in terms of stereotypes, he's all about looking good, feeling good, being pretty, all of those things. So he says, part of discipline is being presentable. And no slides, or we used to call them another word, but they're called A shirts. They're undershirts. No undershirts being worn to class. Wear a shirt, wear shoes, wear socks. No sagging, et cetera, et cetera. All of those things were implemented. That was his new rule. Some people had something to say. We applauded it. Well, it looks like his rules and the way that he's running that program is working. I mean, he set a team. He set for the first time the team had a 3.0 GPA with in the 120-year history of Colorado. That deserves a round of applause. Period. Absolutely. Especially, there you go. Especially when you know about he's shooting the reality show. He's got his sons there. He's got his own show with Roxy on Tubi. He's doing, he's got Amazon. He's got people visiting. So, and he sets his players up to make money. And they have meetings, and you still got to play football, but you got NIL. For him to be able to navigate all of those things, is phenomenal. Shout out to Deion, man.
This is one thing I will definitely say about him is he's structured. He does prepare the students, and it kind of goes back to the conversation that we had last week about when we were talking about college basketball, and the dude was like, the coach, I think it's the coach for Tennessee, if I remember correctly, basically said, runs a play, kid doesn't shoot the ball, calls a timeout, benches a kid, lets him know, hey, you get paid to shoot that shot. You don't shoot that shot, you're going to sit on the bench beside me. You get paid handsomely to do it, and if you don't do it, you're going to end up on the bench. This is very similar to the same thing here. With NIL, and I'm going to say this every week until I get blue in the face, the amateurism is gone. You're a professional now. And not only are you a professional, but for a lot of these people, you are a brand advocate. So they pay you to do a job, which is whatever sport you compete in, but also you're the face of plenty of these people's brands. So yes, heavy is the head. And every other saying about being responsible. When you get paid this money, no, you don't get to be a kid anymore to wear, raggedy t-shirt, sweatpants, and slides to school every day. No, you don't get to do that. You're an employee. You're an employee of the university and whatever company that pays you. You're a contractor for them. So those days are over, and I think that Deion is doing a great job. And I quietly believe that there are going to be some other schools who do something very similar, because there is a conversation that you can have with the student now because they're getting paid. And if you like the money that you're going to get paid, then there are going to be some expectations. And I think the NIL, as it kind of moves forward, they're going to add. They're going to be more and more clear about exactly what you can do and what you cannot do, which I'm cool with.
I don't look at it in that frame. What you're saying makes sense. Makes sense 100%. I don't look at it in that frame for Deion because Deion has been so outspoken about I'm gonna take care of your baby, raising your babies, and all of the, all of those things.
I think those things fall in line though.
He's all about raising or portraying himself as raising and helping black men. So yeah, they all fall in line, but I don't think he's looking at it as we pay you now, so you have to do what I say. I think you're gonna have to do what he said regardless.
Right,
What I'm
let me
saying
reframe
is
that. Oh, go ahead.
what I'm saying is the development. He's looking at it as more. I'm getting you ready for the real world and development. I'm
Correct.
getting you ready
Correct.
to be able to assimilate because you're not all gonna play football. You're ready to now assimilate into a real world and be able to handle yourself accordingly. Kind of more of just
Correct.
like a positive spin on it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's both. You have a job now. That's true, and he said it. Hey, y'all don't go to class. You're not gonna get paid. he's making it. He's making it very clear. This is the expectation. This expectation will serve you for right now to make sure that you finish school properly. Also to make sure that hey, our grades don't drop off just because you're gonna go to the pros, because that graduation rate and all those things matter to the program. This, I'm sure, as much as it hasn't really, and I think that if this was a coach of a different complexion, it would be pushed way more. Like the Travis Hunter being a 4.0 student, him being, having a great GPA. I think that it's Deion, so it's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. No, they've never had this in the history of Colorado. And I say this every week about Deion. Build him a statue in Colorado. In Boulder, he is king of Boulder and should be. Without him, y'all have a little raggedy football team, and you wouldn't have all this money for sure. And now he's changing. He's changed the culture to where to having a 3.0, like that's the team average. Hell, what he does winning football games, he got y'all rich and has started to raise men. What else you gonna ask for?
Yeah, and you get grant money, and because of the GPA. But I also, him. We grew up in an era where being incentivized, pretty much, if we couldn't explain why something was important, we just kind of incentivized you. You were incentivized to do something right. That's how it was in high school, middle school, elementary school. If you make a B or you get a 3.2, or you make an A on your spelling test, you get to go to the pizza party, something like that. He's taking that same philosophy and just applying it to the NIL. Hey, I guarantee you there's some type of NIL deal. If not, they pay me because I'm going to come up with this idea. You make a 2.0, you don't get any money. It's kind of like a bonus structure for a company. You make a 3.0.
I don't think that you could do
2.5, a 3, a 3.5. It could lead to cheating, and I know, but everything can lead to cheating.
Yeah, I mean, but now I wouldn't even think about cheating. Okay, say you a 2.9 in the classroom, but you working as hard as you can to get that 2.9. You probably went to school and been a 2.5 your whole life. You've pushed yourself as hard as you can to get to a 2.9. And then you got another guy who's probably really a 3.8 in the classroom, and he just kind of just seeing him, doing whatever. He's at 3.1. I don't know if that sends the right message to the guy who might not be as good in the classroom, but he's working harder than the guy who's not working hard in the classroom and just kind of floating through. That sends a mixed message.
What is the difference in football? You could work your ass off on the field and only run a 4.75, but the guy who's naturally athletic or who ran track or did whatever could run a 4.28. Is it fair that he gets that the 4.75 is busting his ass and trying as hard as he can, and he still can't beat the guy that ran a 4.28, even though the guy was just chilling and ran a 4.4? Does it matter? Because the guy that runs the 4.4 is probably going to get more playing time, and is probably, especially if you had the same position, is probably going to get more exposure, therefore going to get more NIL deals. I don't think that's fair. You can just because you can't make it and I can. I ain't got to dumb myself down for you.
I'm not saying. I don't think that that's the right incentivizer, in my humble opinion. That's just mine. But yeah, but also the measurables don't mean that that's who the man is. It's a lot of players. Hey, we look at DeAndre Ayton every day. He got all the measurables. He don't got the man.
Yeah, you're missing the point. That wasn't my point. My point was just because you try really, really hard to get a 2.9 and I try 50% or 75% and I get a 3.1, I don't feel bad because you tried really hard to get a 2.9 and I get it. And if they incentivize, I get a 3.0. That's just unfortunate for you. Like that ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't feel like I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to be penalized because you can't make a 3.0.
Yeah, I have a different opinion on education.
I put that on anything. I don't feel that because you can't, if we're on equal playing field, we take the same classes or in this whatever, we're at the same college, we're on an equal playing field, and I do better than you, I shouldn't have to dumb myself down because I do better than you. I shouldn't have to sit there and say, well, I don't think I should. I'm not going to take this award or reward because I really didn't try, but they tried really hard.
I just don't think the reward should be linked to GPA.
I mean, that was your example. No, it was my example. I said 2.0, 2.5, yeah. 3.0. Most stuff is linked to GPA. Whatever. We could talk back and forth about that. Shout out to Deion for getting the 3.0. Shout out to Deion for doing something that has never been done. Black man, Deion. Still don't. Because some of y'all be in the comments, and I'm trying to stay out of the comments. The more and more views and interactions we get, the more and more disrespectful people be trying to be. And I be trying to stay out of there and not respond. I actually don't respond. I just normally like it. But, man, just because we criticize Deion, y'all keep bringing up the same thing. VI love, Jackson State, Jackson, Mississippi. Y'all weren't talking that when Deion left her. No, y'all weren't either. Everybody was mad at how Deion left, but you still can support the black man if you see what he's doing as being positive. Y'all thought about that 2 years later. 2 years.
That's the thing with me that I find myself most frustrated with, and I have to do like most things because Reggie get in the comments. I don't care about you. Say whatever you want to in them comments.
Interactions. Yeah, I get the interactions.
I mean, no. I don't mind the interaction, but the comments themselves, cool. I will cool story, bro, you to death if I don't think that you're worth my time. But people live in these silos now. Also, Silo, great show on Apple. But it's like when you say one thing, then all the rest of the things have to fall in line with that. I am a multifaceted person, so I can identify that, hey, I don't think that what you necessarily did with the way you left Jackson State was right, but that doesn't mean throw the baby out with the bathwater. He can do other things well, and I think that's where we live now in this society, especially moving forward, is everything is either 0 or 1. So if you say anything that against the person, then you're a hater. Like, people have started calling me a Deion hater. If you know me, Deion Sanders is literally my favorite athlete of all time. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to explain that to people who don't want to hear what they only want to hear what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you my point. I'm going to move on. You heard me, great. If you don't want to hear me, then I can't force you to listen and understand.
Yeah, I don't take that philosophy. I'm trying to grow this podcast and we get more interaction, so I'm going to have to interact with you, and I'm going to have no filter. I'm going to tell you the truth.
Wait, hold on. What should they do? Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, boy.